60 to 65 players here, all of whom are incredibly excellent. It's almost scary to think about, really.
All right, so here we go, guys. Ryung versus Scarlett right now. We'll see what both of these players can offer here in game number 1.
IPL 5. Welcome to IPL 5, Cloud Kingdom.
That's right, we're on Cloud Kingdom, and down to the bottom left-hand corner of the map, we have our red Terran player.
Ryung.
See a couple of those axes flying out there. Managed to pick one up myself. Quite a good souvenir. And his opponent here in the upper right-hand corner is our Blue Zerg player. She's been tearing up tournaments everywhere she is.
Scarlett.
And the axes are down, and the cheers come out for Scarlett.
This is kind of a homecoming, really, for Scarlett here. Obviously,
Yeah.
she's probably been playing well before some of us knew her, but really the point whereby we started taking more notice of her was that time in IPL 4, I believe it was, the bracket where she took out players like, for example, the Korean Bumblebee, and she had this amazing run through the lower bracket, made it all the way to like round 8 or so, just barely missing out on those final day matches. Was very, very impressive, and after that it just started getting better and better for her. Now, what is Ryung doing here, Kevin?
That's a 2 racks, a proxy 2 racks, 11, 12 racks. It's actually directly outside of the scouting paths of the Overlords, a perfect place to put those at. So those are going to remain unscouted for a while. Of course, we did see a 15 hatch come down for Scarlett as well. Now, Scarlett, after that IPL 4 run, of course, showing that that was not a fluke. She's been playing incredibly well. Yeah. She's been, you know, obviously North American champion. She's certainly done her home continent proud. Good performance at BWC. So we'll see what she can provide here against a GSL semifinalist.
Yeah, we heard some extra enthused clapping and cheering here from the crowd present here on day 1 at the IPL 5 in Las Vegas Cosmopolitan Hotel. And of course, Scarlett is one of the, let's say, foreigners. And of course, when we say foreigners, we mean non-Koreans. I realize it's a bit of a weird term, but that's how it's going in SE2 esports terms. One of the foreigners that is giving the most hope here to be able to maybe go deep in this tournament.
All right, it looks like we have a bit of a pause here for just a second, so we'll get things underway soon. We want to mention to everyone that we actually do have a, on Saturday, we're going to have a cosplay contest, so with a $1,000 first prize.
Are you participating in that?
Yes, I'll be going as Grubby. So that's
nice, good luck with that.
Yes, no problem. I got to lose about 100 pounds before then, but we'll see how that goes. Anyway.
Food poisoning works well, I heard.
Oh, does it? You would know. So anyway, we have a cosplay contest that's actually sponsored by Crunchyroll, Crunchyroll.com, official source for anime and drama. They are going to be putting that on Saturday, 1 o'clock. Come in your best StarCraft attire. And at 3 o'clock, for those of you inclined to League of Legends cosplay, that'll be happening there as well. So.
The cool thing about that, it's either going to be super cool or a little bit awkward, but no matter what, certainly material.
And cool.
Exactly, certainly material for lots of laughs and entertainment. So it's nice to see a bit of lifestyle mixed in there with some of these matches.
And looks like we just have a hold up on the production end here real quick before we get things started. So we obviously know that well, we have a little bit of a sneaky start in this game to begin things.
Sneaky snake Ryung throwing up a bunker.
Yeah, that's and what a moment for this to actually happen too. Scarlett had already started her Zerglings to try and defend against this, but Ryung's strategy is well underway.
Yeah, again, we're not exactly sure why this happened, but we're trying to focus just on the game at hand, as I'm sure the players are. We should be looking to start up this game momentarily. It seems like there's no real problem anymore, but they're just trying to coordinate the proper starting time of this game, so that everyone is really ready and that you have your hands in front of the keyboard rather than like doing some last-minute adjustments on your headset or your hair or whatever.
And here we go. We are back into the game right now. So Ryung versus Scarlett, and let's see if we can swap over to that. Scarlett already pulling quite a few drones to try and deal with this. She does actually get a great surround of the bunker, forces the cancel, but there are 3 Marines here. 3 Marines have pretty good DPS, and they are able to pick off drones very quickly, especially with the number of units pulled here.
Nice
but
surround.
A great surround trapping those units against the side wall.
That was a very nice surround there by Scarlett, took out all the Marines, and that bunker is not really a threat anymore. More Marines will be rallied by Ryung to the middle here, and these Zerglings probably would be wise to pull back. Or maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, and she's just going to kill as many SCVs as possible.
That's right, but you know what? That was really good control from Ryung right there. He actually had 2 Marines down into the very red, kept those alive, only lost 1 SCV, I think, in that whole process.
I think you're right. There was some nice counting there, Kevin. Maybe you could do some blackjack later on.
I lose everything. I lose all the money.
He lost only 1 SCV.
Yes.
And he kept the rest alive. So that's a very good time for him to return home. And he is taking this as a harassment plus damage strategy and then back into economy. So not like what Lenok did in the last game. This is something that will transition into a more normal game here.
I would not be too surprised to see him throw up a 3rd command center here in a bit as well. A lot of players have been doing that. They sit on 2 barracks anyway. They can pump out enough Marines and put down a couple of bunkers and stay safe.
Yeah, it's kind of like verging between extremes, like extremely aggressive into extremely economical. And Nostra Kevin Nocimus was right. There we go with the 3rd command center.
Yes, that's right. Too bad my powers were limited to how many command centers get put down and not anything else more useful for this world. Two Gas actually following this up, and the Overlord did sneak a peek at that, so he's got a pretty good idea of what's going on. So Scarlett should know what's up. Now on her side, hasn't decided to take that 3rd base quite yet. She's just establishing her gas, making sure that she can get all her relevant upgrades starting to roll pretty soon. And I wonder where she's going to go from this. This is a map that is conducive to some aggressive play, but we have seen some very, very long protracted TVCs on this map.
Now, I like what Scarlett is doing here. First of all, that was a beautiful defense. Let's just say that right away. Like, yes, Ryung did damage and so on, and then he's going back into economical play. But I feel like Scarlett is a little bit ahead in that engagement. She's also taking her 3rd very, very early. Feels very comfortable with that. And one thing to note, just for those nerds out there at home with their notebook and trying to take notes and trying to up their own game for their personal satisfaction, or maybe to be the next pro gamer, they're looking. Take a look at that. She was forced to pull a lot of drones to her natural to defend. So she's choosing to make that gas in the natural base, not in the main base. Maybe normally she would make it in the main, but you don't want to have to levy over your drones back to the main base. So that's kind of cool.
Oh, and some Marines are actually poking away at this 3rd base here, and we'll see if that gets canceled by Scarlett here in just a second. She's got a couple of units to defend against that. Looks like she's just going to let that get low. Oh, actually, that spy crawler gets a bit too far forward, and Ryung's actually done some pretty considerable damage here. He's finally getting pushed back. Nice job by Scarlett to pick off the hurt Marine there, and looks like she will finally be able to hold on to that. But yeah, the double factory follow-up so far from Ryung.
Now, one of the things I really love about the StarCraft 2 community is that there's so many people doing any kind of contributions which aren't necessarily only about build orders. Like, there's all these guys or girls on Team Liquid on Reddit, and they're providing these statistics. They're doing like research. They're putting in so many hours, and they come up with these contrived statistical sheets with mathematics and with all this data. And one of the data sheets that I really like to see was an analysis of Scarlett's creep spread. Now, we constantly see, casters saying and people noticing, and also, of course, the opponents of Scarlett noticing that her creep spread is phenomenal. But how good is it really on a scale of maximum efficiency? So they did this, obviously I didn't check the data, but they did this breakdown, and they said when you do optimal creep spread with 4 queens, and you still need to do larva injection in a normal game, 100% creep spread would be this much by this minute. Okay, they said, how good is Scarlett's creep spread? And it was about at 65 to 70% efficiency.
Right.
And she has about the best creep spread I've ever seen in StarCraft 2.
Anything above that, and you're talking about things that can only be done by machines, essentially.
Yeah, or like when you're only doing creep spread and you have 0 units whatsoever. So that's very good. So apparently 65 to 70% creep spread is phenomenal. Imagine she was even able to up that number. Very, very cool statistic to see.
That's pretty awesome, and she picks up exactly on when this third base is coming down too, so we're certainly going to look out for that creep spread, see how close it is to maximum efficiency, but we can already see 3 distinct creep lines starting to make their way down the map. For now, though, she's going up to her infestation pits, baneling speed, all the relevant upgrades are starting to hit at the same time. Ryung, though, has produced a lot of blue flame Hellions now, 6 of them on the map, still has 2 factories around, but now starting to convert those over to what looks like it's going to eventually be some sort of tank use. And our first starport in this entire game is actually only coming up now.
Wow, this is a very unique build order by Ryung, getting those double factory for a very quick blue flame and some reactor Hellions, and then he goes back to 2 extra barracks. So he will soon be on 5 barracks with a starport, with 2 tanks and a tech lab to make siege tanks. So he's going to bio-tank play, but the way he opened it up is something that at least I have never necessarily seen yet. Probably, you know, people who watch a lot of games have seen that before. Personally, I haven't seen it yet, so a very nice dynamic there as Ryung is now going to clean up some of those creep tumors. Of course, will not allow Scarlett 100% creep spread efficiency. He wants to mess with that, so he shut down one of those aisles of creep spread. Nice job by him.
And, you know, we wondered whether or not Ryung was going to show his builds that he was planning from GSL. This is certainly something that's unconventional, if not maybe the one he'll exactly use at GSL. It's certainly a different look. Yeah. And we'll see how he kind of approaches the mid and late game now.
He's certainly trying hard, and nice move there by Ryung. He left behind 1 Marine near that 4th base of Scarlett, and that 1 Marine saw at least 10 banelings. So that's a very good read on what he's doing. And when the Zerg has that many banelings that early, they're going for a kind of crushing your army kind of move, as we see now, as those Marines got crushed. But that was just about 8 Marines. It's still okay for Ryung if he can stabilize and not lose too much more. Nice flank there with the Hellions from behind. There's not all that many banelings left. How many SCVs will be dying here? Ryung will try and move them away, but the banelings have speed and will catch up. A very good amount of SCVs goes down, and that was a very nice move by Scarlett, who killed 15 workers.
Yeah, very well done. Ryung, though, sitting on 3 bases, will be able to recover pretty quickly with the amount of mules that he can put down, but certainly an economic hit taken. He's down by 21 workers at the moment. Now actually 25 as that number continues to increase for Scarlett, who's now taking her 4th base. She's going up to a 7th and 8th gas. She's moving up into Hive Tech, eventually into Broodlords, because we see that Spire on the way. So really everything is hitting for her, and she hasn't taken that much harassment quite yet. Ryung just kind of sitting back and playing a bit more passively.
Yeah, and she has the very healthy amount of 92 drones.
Yeah, going to be 100 in a second. Wow.
I wonder if there's any spine crawlers coming out from that, or if she just feels like 100 is a pretty good amount of drones to have.
It's a good even number. It's a round number, if you ask me. Likely we are going to see some here in a bit. Ryung actually dropping down outside of his opponent's natural, and Scarlett does have infestors in play. Ryung actually picks up on that pretty quickly, spreads up his Marines to 2 separate locations, so he ensures that the fungal isn't going to do as much damage and forces some more units out at the same time that he moves his Blue Flame Hellions and Stim Marines over to the 4th. Scarlett trying to take a 5th at exactly the same time, but this base is in a lot of danger.
Yeah, Scarlett moved all of her units there to defend against that drop, and that does give Ryung some position here, but I feel like he didn't quite move his tanks forward enough, knowing that most of the army was on the right. I feel like he might have been taking a bit more liberty, but that's some nice tank shots on the infestors. And Scarlett maybe moving out too far here. Those tanks were not really in a pressurizing position yet.
Oh, and the Marine that was doing so much damage finally gets killed at the back of the natural. Scarlett did throw away a couple of infestors there, but she managed to actually retain more of her economy than I had anticipated. There was a that base was under a lot of fire, and that could have actually been a very bad situation. As it stands, Ryung is still in a really nice spot. He's got this critical position on the high ground. He's sitting and sieging up his opponent's 4th from around the side. Scarlett will have a 5th to actually fall back on, though, as she does have that base running in the top left-hand corner. But she's running up Burrowed Infestors now to start dropping down and forcing the tanks to start shelling their own units. And she starts running with the Zerglings at the same time. All of the tanks are surrounded pretty quickly, but the last tank is pretty well defended because of the amount of Marines that are around the side there. So after all is said and done, she does manage to start breaking up that defensive position, but she can't bring enough forces to move that last tank off of there.
Yeah, there's just enough Marines and tanks left behind here to be a real nuisance, and to keep this push up here really by Ryung. Scarlett tries to get it out enough units, but well, Greater Spire is about to finish. He's just working with really cheap units still, and it's looking very hard to be able to hold this 4th base here.
Okay, so there's the stim once again. No other tanks have joined this force, though, and the Marines are getting surrounded pretty quickly. The first tank does die, but look at the splitting from Ryung. His control is so good, and he isolates all those banelings, takes them out, and still has units left over to continue putting pressure on this base.
And your favorite amount of Broodlords is coming out here. Oh, Infestors being caught.
Wow. Oh, all three of them getting killed. Yes, one Broodlord.
Yes, one Broodlord.
Ah, yes. Well, you know, even that is going to be enough to constitute a pretty decent siege push. So Scarlett will be able, I mean, if she can get these up, she's already taken quite a bit of economic damage. Now, of course, she had overmade drones, so still sitting on 83 drones is not the worst place to be.
Yeah, but she needs to get some of them over to the top left position. Ryung does not know about that, but it does look like he's moving out towards that fifth there. Just has a really good game sense about that.
Yeah, and there's no corruptors on the field. The three that were made have immediately been turned into Broodlords, so the fact that there's, what, 3 or 4 Vikings that are being produced at the time, 4, that's going to easily dispatch of the forces in the air.
Yeah, very beautiful and dynamic play here by Ryung as he takes down that base, and Scarlett's down to just 3 mining bases, same as what Ryung has. In come the Vikings, and having lost so many Infestors, it's very difficult for Scarlett to counter those Vikings. They're just taking shots with impunity at those Broodlords, and there's more than enough Marines here to take down, I think, everything that Scarlett has, but that's some nice fungal growth.
Those were really nice fungal growths. Boom! The Marines disappear, but Ryung still has a pretty good tank force. He still has those Vikings overhead, so he can push back the Broodlord force. Now, Ryung has just now put himself on a 4th base. It's been a very long time coming. He's going to need that moving forward as his economy is getting pretty low in his main and his natural. But he's already taken out 2 hatcheries from Scarlett. She's trying to rebuild right now, but Ryung finds himself in that familiar spot once again with all the siege tanks sitting on the high ground.
Yeah, now, of course, the good thing for Scarlett is that she's momentarily at a position where her units are 3-3, and Ryung is only 30% towards 3-3. So Zergling versus Marine itself is going to go quite well for Scarlett, but she needs a kind of technical advantage. She needs that Broodlord Infestor army to get the kind of cost efficiency that would be required to come back from this position where, admittedly, she's kind of behind.
Yes, she is. Now, if she can find a way to amass a large army and have enough resources left over that she can clean out her opponent, make a bunch of Zerglings, put pressure on the economy, all right, maybe she'll find some way to equalize here. But as it stands, Ryung just does not let up this position. He just continues just closing the chokehold. He's now got 9 Vikings in the air. They're actually being used to pick off Overlords too and do harassment and drops because not all of them are required to attack this Corruptor force in the middle of the map.
That's a pretty sweet move by Ryung, man. Scarlett is 2 supply away from being supply blocked. Down goes an Overlord, and she's in the red. Very sweet move by Ryung here.
Yeah, and now, is she producing any more Overlords at the moment? Yeah, a couple, but now she's going to try and break out of this position right here. The Vikings are already sitting over the top. Pretty good splits once again from those Marines. There are a lot of Zerglings and Banelings that are left over, though, and the Infestors weren't forced to use most of their energy. So she holds on to the base. She's able to retain the economy, but can she continue to press forward, do economic damage to her opponent?
Wow. The combination of Banelings, Infestors, and better upgraded links against Marines there gave her what she needed to inch back into this game as the Broodlords are now following. It seems almost like the Broodlords weren't even necessary. It was just links and Banelings with some Infestor support.
And now she's back on a 4th base. The 5th is actually under attack by these Vikings. Will finally get cleaned up, but it did take a while for that to happen. So now Scarlett's on a 4th base. Once again, she can continue to increase the amount of units on the field. Ryung, you know, he's still got a pretty good defensive position. He's still on 4 bases, and a 4-base Terran is certainly a very scary opponent.
Yeah, Scarlett only just found out about this base here on the left 5 seconds ago, which is why the Broodlords were initially moving towards the bottom right. Maybe Scarlett felt like she was blocking that 4th from going up with the creep there. But now, will there be enough time for Scarlett to take this down, or will Ryung come and backstab? Banelings take down all the SCVs. This planetary fortress looks all but dead.
Wow. So the planetary goes down, and now she's done the economic damage that she wanted. So not only is she back in this in terms of supply, she's on a 4th and a 5th base. She can go up to 10 gas. She's already got her tech in place to move up and just continue to add on Broodlord after Broodlord after Broodlord, continue to increase the Infestor count. So now she finds herself in a lot better position. I've got to say, when Ryung had that chokehold on the 4th, I thought he was in a magnificent position to win this, but Scarlett has found a way to survive. She's taking a little bit of damage from that drop inside of the natural. She'll be able to clean it up pretty soon, though.
the drop will be picked up. 5 Marines will be rescued, and it's going to go to the main base. Just try and buy as much time as possible. The entire army from Scarlett is moving back here. She doesn't just have one A syndrome. She has her units grouped out nicely between control group 1, 3, and 4. So she does have it spread, but she did choose to send back everything initially. Luckily for her, however, at this time there was not a multi-pronged attack by Ryung. It was not coordinated in that fashion yet. Ryung is now sharking on the left side of the map, but his army is looking a little bit paltry in comparison to Scarlett's.
Yeah, and he continues to increase the amount of Vikings, yes, but the real threat is actually coming from the very powerful Zerglings and Infestors on the ground. So, you know, even if he's able to deal with those forces in the air, does he have enough tanks? Does he have enough Marines to deal with what's going to hit him on the ground? That's a lot of Vikings. It can dispatch of what she has, but I don't know, man. I just don't know if he has the unit composition to deal with this.
Yeah, and Scarlett is going to move in, throws down a lot of volleyballs. The Corruptors are going to take down the Vikings, which will allow the Broodlords to survive. The tanks are doing some very nice focus fire on the Infestors, but Scarlett burrows her Infestors and will save them. There goes a scan, and he will take another tank shot at Infestors. That was a double kill by the tank, but the last tank does go down, and Scarlett takes that fight.
Once again, she takes that fight. There's another planetary fortress that's coming in down at the bottom right. But it's not even morphed in yet. There's nothing over there to defend it. And Scarlett's just going to walk up with her Broodlords and her Infestors, probably rally in a few Zerglings. She's got 30 of them making right now, and head down there and start to put on pressure once again. Now, Ryung is doing damage to this hatchery. If he can manage to get this one, that would actually help him find some equity in this game. Nice job, limits the production of his opponent, but Scarlett's already got another base headed in the top left-hand corner.
Yeah, so Scarlett is still on 5 bases. Very nice job there. No energy for fungal growth right now, but the combination of those Corruptors and Infested Terrans will dispatch those Vikings very, very easily here. The production tab is looking a little scarce here for Ryung, as he's just making Marines, and Scarlett already has enough to take down any number of Marines really here.
And that control from Ryung was just ridiculous right there. He picked up his units, dropped them down, the hurt ones back down immediately to start healing those up the moment that the Zerglings moved away. So Ryung, his control has still been very, very good, but you can see his economy is starting to lack now.
Nice pickup.
And the Broodlord's actually getting taken out before they're able to morph in.
Yeah, it was a very nice pickup, taking down a lot of Infestors and Corruptors with just a handful of Marines. That's the kind of move that Ryung will need about 10 times in a row to try and get back here. Yeah,
you're exactly right. It was a good move on his part, but still, Scarlett has a really nice position in this game. She's sitting comfortably on 5 bases. Yes, she's only mining from 2 right now, but Ryung's 3rd is getting mined out very soon. You can see that those mineral patches are getting very low. He does have the space down here at the bottom right, but he needs to defend it for everything he has, because he doesn't have a lot of options if that falls.
And, well, the Broodlords are currently upgraded 1-1. We've got a 2nd armor upgrade, the Desert Flyer Carapace level 2 being upgraded, which will be very useful against Marines, Marines, Vikings, and whatnot.
Okay, well, will this army start to bear down for Scarlett? Looks like she's going to pick up on these Marines up in the top left. So Ryung does a little bit more damage. He gets his Marines in a good spot to cost-efficiently trade with Zerglings, but that's about all he can hope for. That is going to get cleaned up pretty quickly.
Now, Ryung deciding that the best defense is offense, as has been found by psychological majors for a very long time already. Ryung leaving his fort completely exposed, but he's going to attack here, going to take down a lot of drones, and hopefully for him, take down 2 hatcheries. That's what he needs here. And Scarlett, is she going to counterattack, or is she going to defend? She will attack with the Broodlords and Corruptors, but the Corruptors are going to be met with superior Viking numbers. He will lose 2. She will lose 2 right away.
Yeah, and this is kind of an interesting position. This is what Ryung wants to do. He wants to split Scarlett's attention, because if she comes all the way back, he's done his damage. He can start to find a little bit more as he does take out a base, as the Queens aren't going to do anything against these, nice transfusions there, but even with that, those are eventually going to fall. The Broodlords are starting to siege up this planetary fortress. They end up killing it, so now Ryung is actually a little bit limited on his economic options.
Yeah, Ryung is potentially mining from about he has about 6 mineral patches empty across his 3 bases. They have just a little bit of minerals left. Some Queens going down to supply. 1 ahead by Ryung. That's actually pretty impressive. And both of them aren't really mining that much, so Well, infestors are pretty great in situations like these, but one misstep with infestors, and it will be very, very scary there for Scarlett.
And now with those 2 bases down for Scarlett, she has 0 mining that's going on as well. This game has been just incredibly back and forth at times. So will Scarlett be able to really get a force forward? Because the unit composition, or I should say the amount of each of the units that Ryung has right now is a lot better than it was just a bit ago. Here come the burrowed infestors, though. Ryung does not see this, and they're just going to drop up.
Oh, but the orbital is about to land on... Oh, no, the fight is already starting. Yeah, that's some nice volleyballs. Will kill one of the tanks there.
Yeah, but she decided not to move in while that was being done, while it's absorbing fire.
Yeah. I kind of thought there would be a move in there.
Yeah, I did too. But as it stands, now Ryung has this base over on the left-hand side, and Scarlett has her own 4th base back over on the very right-hand side of the map. So again, very back and forth, but both players are being very tentative. No one really wants to make a move.
Yeah, it's very smart that Scarlett will conquer this Xel'Naga tower vision here and attacking at this angle where the cliff is defending her from tank marine attacks. That Xel'Naga tower is surprisingly crucial when you're both facing off here in this western standoff, because you need to know how your opponent's army is being arrayed.
Okay, well, that standoff is just continuing. Ryung is oversaturated on this base. Every time those Broodlords get a little bit farther forward, though, the Vikings are able to pick off a couple of shots. And there's a very nice spread there, so they're not going to be caught by fungal growths all that quickly. 6 infestors are being added on right now. Ryung just doesn't know what he wants to make. He's got resources now, but he hasn't put it into anything. Finally, more tanks and marines are being made, but at the same time, Scarlett's starting to push forward, and every time she does this, she seems like she's pushing Ryung a little bit farther back.
Yeah, Ryung has lost a lot of units in what looks like a tiny skirmish, but a lot of Vikings have gone down, and he feels like he needs to abandon this position. He'll try to mine as much as possible.
And on the right-hand side of the map, these Marines are actually doing a good bit of economic damage there, and that actually forces Scarlett to pull away. A lot of workers killed. 105 have been killed. Over 999 units have been killed in this game. And that's 1,000. All right,
keep counting.
All right, so everything is pulled off the line now. This is serious long-distance mining that's being done by Ryung at the moment, and the closest orbital command to him is inside of his main.
Well, Ryung kind of abandoned that position without being necessarily forced to. In the meantime, Scarlett is making 3 more infestors, which will put her at the number of 29. We might say here, where are the ghosts? But even Ghost cannot take care of that many infestors, and there's not really the economy or infrastructure for Ryung to be able to do that. So not really sure where Ryung can go from here. Maybe some tank shots on those infestors. Boom.
Whoa!
One goes down.
Yeah, and he actually manages to pick off a Broodlord too. So Scarlett is pushed back, but that's still a lot of infestors, I have to say. It's kind of how Zerg armies have been going lately, and this is just yet another example of that. It's very
perfect example.
Yeah, it's a strong unit composition though, with those Broodlords overhead and just a couple of queens to transfuse things up. Although there is actually only 1 queen on the map.
Yeah, all those queens died before to tanks in the middle, so there's just the 1 queen left. There's also no injects going on whatsoever. Of course, not that important anymore at this stage. Scarlett finally starting to mine some gas again. Has 2 bases now.
That's right, but, you know, Ryung does have a mobile enough force that he could put on some pressure. Of course, if he takes anything away, then he's going to expose pretty much everything on the map. So he's setting down another command center. He could actually retake his 5th over on the left-hand side, excuse me, because Scarlett doesn't have any vision or presence over there.
Ryung is scanning here, and he's wondering, what can I possibly do here? Taking down some creep tumors for the cost of 4 Marines.
And a scan.
That energy keeps going up on those infestors.
Okay, so 43 SCVs to 44 drones. Worker count is pretty even between these 2 players, although the better saturation is Scarlett's, and she's retaking her base in the top left-hand corner. But Ryung is doing a good job of moving across the map and denying creep tumors. That's one thing I actually want to point out. Through this whole process...
She doesn't stop, does she?
Exactly. She's kept her active creep tumors going.
Yeah, that's very impressive. A lot of people try doing a good creep spread once, and once it gets stopped, that's it. That's it for the rest of the game. Not so with Scarlett. And that's proving very invaluable here, as she can react to these Marine attacks in time. Takes down all of those 6 Marines there in the middle without any losses whatsoever.
Very nice job, and now Ryung has to pull all of his SCVs off the line, so his income is going to be virtually nil. 175 supply to 115 overall, and that superior economy is just proving to be worth its weight in gold for Scarlett now, as Ryung trying to get himself in position. I mean, if he can find one good engagement against those infestors, maybe he'll be able to find some sort of an answer. But the infestors are actually very far away, so the Vikings are going to get a couple of shots here. Oh, but there's the fungal. and fungal growth traps the vast majority of the Vikings. The air forces are really limited, and Scarlett is going for the throat.
GG.
There's GG. Scarlett takes game number 1 of this best of 3. Well, that made up for that 5-minute long 8-pool we saw before from Lenok, a 40-minute game to begin things here. And Scarlett's got to be feeling pretty confident after that, after a very back-and-forth game.
Scarlett very mindful of our scheduling importance here of the IPL 5. Thank you to her. Ryung, yeah, he's not too happy with that, I don't think. Almost goes without saying. Now, Ryung, for all his valor in that game, he was kind of stuck in a catch-22. Couldn't really attack, couldn't really afford to wait either. It was just getting worse and worse for him. But at the same time, attacking with Marine Tank Viking into a defensive position of Infested Broodlord, it's not something you want to do on any given Sunday or Thursday.
Or Thursday, you know, as it were. But Ryung still has a fighting chance. It is going to be his choice of map. We'll find out what that's going to be here in just a second. And man, was that back and forth. That actually started all the way from a proxy 2-Rax that was kind of outside of his natural there for a while, which ended up getting defended pretty well by Scarlett.
Very well, probably.
Yeah, just kind of a crazy way to think that that game started from there. But both players were able to macro up from that. And, well, we have our longest game so far.
Yeah. Let's see what map Ryung is going to pick. Do you think it's going to be... Is Antigua Shipyards in the map?
Yes, yes it is. So,
okay, so is it going to be Antigua Shipyard or perhaps the same choices we saw Lucifron make, Ohana?
You know, Ryung is such a different player than Lucifron, though, you know, doesn't favor the mech play as much. I mean, Lucifron, it's a lot of his strategy is revolved around, let's kill drones with Hellions and let's see how that goes.
Yeah, I guess so.
So I would say that Antigua is more likely than it was for Lucifron, but we could see something like Ohana.
Drop play, yeah, perhaps. Of course, it might be a vetoed map by Scarlett.
That's very true, actually, and that's probably something that has been vetoed a lot. We figured that Metropolis will probably be the most commonly vetoed ones over the course of this tournament.
Maybe for non-Koreans, Abyssal City, because it's a GSL map, but we don't see it as much in foreign tournaments. So, well, let's see.
It's very possible. We're going to find out here in just a second, but we do want to say thank you very much to all of our sponsors. You can see them rolling across the bottom there as we move along. They have been instrumental in making sure that this tournament has been run as successfully as it has, and we do appreciate their support. So please do go follow them on their social media devices. Please do go out there and give them a thank you for supporting IPL 5 and esports. We really do appreciate it. Big heart. But yes, so we don't know what that next map is going to be. It looks like the players are just checking out replays and getting things set. But, you know, we saw the 2-Rax opening from Ryung last time. I mean, to do that twice in a row would be very difficult to try and pull off, especially when it was shut down the first time. But in this scenario, does he try to get back in with those sort of mind games again? Or does he just kind of sit down and say, all right, I'm down 0-1. I've got to play my style. I've just got to play good standard play. Yeah,
I mean, I think, as you said, he favors bio type of play more. And any kind of standard play is usually leading, you know, to 2-2 timings on the bio with a 1-0 on the tanks. You can change it up how you open, but you do usually go into that kind of Marine Tank play if you're not choosing to go like 5-port Banshee or mech play. So he's not necessarily revealing too much by giving his best. And I think he made a very strong effort there in the last game against Scarlett.
Yes, he did. And if you guys